Okay, we're good to go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports in association with Round for Round Boxing, the newest game coming out on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. Everything to do with Round for Round Boxing, you can catch it right here on BWTM Sports. Okay, now the title of this video: Anthony Joshua, an alternative viewpoint of the unified heavyweight champion. If you go across the YouTube galaxy at the moment, or the YouTube universe, the YTBC, if you go across the universe generally, shout out to LDBC. If you go across the YouTube universe, you will hear either the same stuff being said, which basically means regurgitated from what's been read off social media sites, regurgitated, people either reading straight off social media or boxing websites, reading straight off it, or reading or analyzing off boxing interviews, or having the pleasure of talking to the fighters themselves, which is fine. But I'm trying to give you today an alternative viewpoint to Anthony Joshua. Now, this is an alternative viewpoint. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm not saying this is fiction. I'm just saying from a personal standpoint of what I think here. I'm not here to argue with anybody else's viewpoint. I'm certainly not here to regurgitate anyone else's viewpoints. And I'm certainly not here to spread propaganda. These are my personal viewpoints. There's no sources. There's no... they're just things that I see. And I say history always repeats itself. I remember when this young man, Anthony Joshua, was first coming out to the world, as the amateur. And, the plan was, by one reputable trainer said, you watch Anthony Joshua. They're going to build him out into being Frank Bruno Part 2 or 2.0. Let's remember back in those days, Bruno did not have social media. And the way social media is today, it can give you a false sense of understanding as to how many followers a fighter has. Anyone can buy Instagram followers. It's a bit more difficult when you have to get people to pay their hard-earned money to put the money down and say, I want to buy that ticket to see that guy fight. It's very different when some of those ticket sales are going towards corporate sponsors and doing people a good deed. And, obviously people that are genuine supporters of Anthony Joshua. That's different than having a hardcore base of people that will travel across the world with you. Again, I don't know Anthony Joshua, but I do know the stories that have been reported in the past about Anthony Joshua and about his checkered life and how he turned his life around and now how he's now the golden boy of boxing. Now, I think the public have turned on Joshua, as I then once predicted that the public would turn on Joshua. The public have turned on Joshua because of this whole £50 million. If I had £50 million or 50 million, I would face Deontay Wilder. We all know now, through one way or another, he's found his way fighting Alexander Povetkin. And if you listen to the promoter beforehand, the Povetkin fight was lined up, and Joshua had no intention of fighting Deontay Wilder until the early of 2019, and that was something he said himself. And then contradicted him, said something else afterwards. Now, here's the way I view it. Anthony Joshua is no average boxer. He is a pay-per-view star. And he's not just any pay-per-view star. He is, next to Canelo, the biggest pay-per-view star that's out at the moment in boxing. Forget Floyd Mayweather, he's gone now. And if Floyd were to come back, Floyd would overtake Joshua and Canelo. But Floyd is the man, Joshua's the man in the UK, and Canelo's the man for the States. What comes with that, and the fact that he's a unified heavyweight champion, what comes with that is a huge responsibility. But what also comes with that is that everybody's watching your every move. Your every move has been watched. Now, with Floyd Mayweather, it was a bit different. Floyd said what the hell he want, when the hell he want, how the hell he went, right? You have to also understand, Floyd wasn't restricted because he was with corporate sponsors. If you go back and look at Floyd Mayweather's fight with Pacquiao, by that stage, Floyd already stabbed himself into being Money Mayweather. He was making ridiculous amounts of money. If you look at that press conference between Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, that is what you get when you have corporate sponsors basically hogging and all the sponsorships around. That's what happens where because everyone has to start being on the P's and Q's. Everyone has to start talking nicely and being politically correct and doing all these things because, oh, the sponsor wouldn't like this. The sponsor wouldn't like that. Oh, well, if you don't say this and this PR person's coming, if you don't say, they don't know anything about boxing. If you don't say this, you don't say that, then, you know, this person might revoke their sponsorship. We've seen it time and time again. People have got big sponsorship deals being dropped because things have been said that have been misquoted and missaid, or things have been said that have been downright wrong, and sponsorship deals have been boom, gone. We've seen it outside of boxing in the corporate world where people have said things. The guy from Starbucks, you know, he said something and boom. I mean, he actually owned or had a part of Starbucks and got sacked. My point is this: Anthony Joshua is a person where he in a position where he's at the top of the mountain, but he's at a very dizzy height to the top of the mountain. And I don't know what's at the top of that mountain, but I can have a fair idea what is at the top of the mountain. And at this point in time, I don't believe that Joshua is his own man. I don't believe he can be his own man. So because if you look at Joshua, Under Armour, the headphones he wears, he's like a walking billboard, Anthony Joshua. And the various advertisements, I saw him the other day, a picture of him in Hugo Boss suit, throwing punches. I mean, everywhere you look with Anthony Joshua, there is some sort of deal Anthony Joshua is signed to. And every time he signs to one of these deals, each one he signs to these deals, as far as I'm concerned, you become more and more of a slave. A slave? What do you mean? Well, because you're not your own person, so you're not free. So even if you're making all this money, you're still not free because you can't be your own person. You can't have your own viewpoints. You can't say what you want to say, how you want to say it. You can't be that person you want to be. You can't plan the way you want to plan. Of course, that isn't the plan. The plan isn't for you when you start making this kind of money to start speaking and becoming a political figure and start doing these things. Then sponsorship deals go, corporate sponsors don't get involved, and therefore you have to be a good little boy. You have to stay in line, stay in place, and do the things that the corporate sponsors want you to do. You now are a slave to the corporate sponsors. All that time in the gym, all that stuff you've been doing, working out, all those years you've put in, only now to get a sponsor to tell you, to hold you by a lead and tell you, you the dog, you're doing the work walking, and somebody holds you by a lead and tell you, right, go left, go right. No, you can't bark now. Yes, you can bark now. If you bark, you can only bark a little bit. No, you can go for that person. Yeah, growl at that person, but don't growl at that person. Money is at the end of it. And so therefore, as well, when you're in that sort of position, you now have what I call handlers, people who are told specifically with a specific agenda to ensure that you do not get out of control. You do not get out of line. We've seen moments of Joshua saying things and then having to be reeled back in afterwards. The 50 million thing, I think, was a PR disaster. He wasn't meant to have said those things. He said those things not thinking about the repercussions. So people have to kind of clean that up. You've seen things happen within the media of Joshua where they try to pull out that situation with him and his child, his family, and about the girlfriend. Now, they want to keep Joshua's profile a certain way so that fans see him as a role model. But we know what his past was, that he's a good guy, that he's good, and he's all these things, and you know, he is a role model. That's what they want the public to believe. and that's fine. But it's the fighter themselves I'm more concerned about. I'm more concerned about a fighter who's trapped within their own body. They're trapped within their own system now, where if they speak out, then those sponsorship deals will go. If they speak out, stuff may come out of them that we may not want to hear about. So all this stuff that might be going on behind closed doors that we're not aware of, maybe the same things, what is in the dark will always come out to light. These same things that at the moment are kept behind closed doors, and things people are like, that's a bit suspicious. I wonder why people ask questions. It's all shoved under the carpet. The incident with him and Eddie Chambers. Anybody else, that could have blown up into something major. But Joshua can be swept under the carpet, can pay off the newspapers. Shush, let's not talk about this. The media isn't what you want. The media doesn't give you the script that you want, which is the truth. The media will tell you what they want you to think and want you to believe, because they've all got their hands in it. They're all being paid one way or the other. They're able to get a ringside seat to see the big man fight. So there's all hands going around, the same people around the table together, and they're all invested. So Joshua makes big business. He makes big money. So for me, here's a man here who has, for all purposes, is not, he may sound like a man that's in his career or got control of his career, but I don't believe he has. I really don't. I really don't. I would like to know whether, you know, if he was able to control his career and just walk, well, he signed a 3-year contract with Hearn. I understand this. I've seen it, but I asked myself the question: have you signed that contract because it's the best thing to do, because it's the best thing for your career, or is it the best thing to do because that person may have dirt on you? These questions must be asked, and how much dirt, and how much is behind closed doors, and is everything on the up? If you're innocent and you're on the up and you're clean, it's okay. But when people know about your career or know about your life, the real you, who you really are, and what you really do behind closed doors, it's very dangerous when these people have this sort of information on you. And if they do have that information on you, they can always use it to keep you ransom. Now, I always wonder with Pacquiao and his relationship with Arum, I've always wondered why Pacquiao would stay with Arum if the relationship is as bad as it's meant to be, and why Pacquiao keeps going back. Often people say it's because Pacquiao's been bankrupt, or Pacquiao hasn't had the money, or Pacquiao owes Arum all this money, and that's why he continues to fight, even at 39 years old. I wonder why some of these fighters have to come back and fight after their best, and they've blown their money. But the thing is Anthony Joshua his own man, and the Americans have had a very harsh view of Anthony Joshua. Well, maybe it's not harsh, but they look at Deontay Wilder and they say, well, there's a man who says what he's got to say, but look at Deontay Wilder in terms of sponsorship deals. No sponsor is going to go near Deontay Wilder, because of some of the things that come out of his mouth. I mean, when you talk about, Joshua being a walking billboard, you look at Deontay Wilder, from my personal perspective, he's a PR disaster, talking about, crippling people and putting people in body bags. Distasteful, not really great. I mean, it is the sport of boxing. It's not table tennis, and we know about the brutality of the sport. We don't need it to be put out in such a manner, which is so disgusting, but that's entitled to him, and that's why major sponsors probably wouldn't go in here Deontay Wilder, because they think he's a liability, and that's why they go next to Joshua, because they think, we've got him nice, we've got him in a nice spot now, so everybody can stamp there, say, we want a part of Joshua, we want a part of Joshua, we want a part of Joshua, we want a part of Joshua. And every time a corporate sponsor slaps their name next to Joshua, it's another lash. It's another, for me, it's another chain, as you cannot say this, you cannot do that, you cannot be deemed to be seen here, you cannot be seen talking to this person, you cannot be seen to be doing that. and so on and so forth. And so what you've got is the PR machine, which is now Anthony Joshua, because he's having to stick by lines and stay by a certain guideline and stay within a certain premise. But occasionally the real Joshua will pop out. Occasionally he'll come out and say things. Now, when he did the interview pep talk, I was genuinely of the belief that we were going to see Joshua versus Wilder. I really believed that fight was going to happen, because he talks about, I'm going to be in the gym and that's going to be my next fight and I'm preparing for it. And he sounded so genuine and refreshing. I actually think the real Anthony Joshua, outside of all the PR stuff, is really probably a likable guy in the sense that I believe he could keep it real. But I believe with the corporate sponsors and with the pressure that's on him and with the major investments that's in him, that's been made in him, and the money that he can make as a cash cow, and the fact that basically he is matchroom boxing. Let's be honest. Joshua is matchroom boxing. If Joshua goes, who have matchroom got? Who have they got as a real pound for pound pay-per-view star? They haven't. So Joshua is the cash cow. So, you know, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. This might not be the way that a lot of people may not like it to be, may not like the saying is. You know, that's why someone like Fury he's another one that won't get the sponsorship deals, because he's another one that, like Deontay Wilder, will just speak off the cuff and say things that, you know, sometimes it might well be the truth what he's saying, but he probably would be advised not to say it. Not if you're going to go down the corporate sponsor route and get sponsored. That's why Floyd was such a genius. He was able to do what he did without the need of corporate sponsors. So he could say what the hell he wanted, when he wanted, how he felt. But with Pacquiao now, it was a bit different. Pacquiao was sponsored by Nike. You know, so there is a certain ways. If you watch people who are sponsored by corporate sponsors, you watch the way they speak. They speak a corporate language, whether it be a boxer, whether it be a film star, whether it be an entertainer, a musician. They speak a certain language. And that language is to ensure, listen, you can't say this, you can't be involved in that, you can't be with this movement. And so therefore, Joshua is in that category. Do you blame him? That's his choice. It's his decision he's made. That's the path he's decided to walk. He is, as Josie Parker would say, set for life. If Joshua were to get knocked out tomorrow by Povetkin, would it matter, really, to him? I mean, yeah, sure, he would get. And when I'm telling you now, when the British public turn on Anthony Joshua, they will turn like never be seen before. I'm telling you, when they turn on Anthony Joshua, because the hatred for that guy. Listen, when they turn on him, I hope and I pray that, you know, there is some plan for when Joshua loses. I hope and pray that there is some plan, because eventually he's going to get beat. This is not like the Mayweather story. Eventually, unless he retires before he can get beat, they're going to turn, and they'll turn nasty. And I don't believe his career, if you look at other sports stars, I don't believe his career will go clean. I really don't. I really don't. If they did it to David Beckham, they'll certainly do it to Anthony Joshua. It's just time. When they don't need him anymore, that's when the button will get pushed. And that's when you start getting all these shock revelations about Joshua. Wait, it's coming. Because history always repeats itself. Especially in the UK, we get a person, we build them up, and then we tear them down. And you see Joshua has got this smart thing where he's got Britain on one side, he's got Nigeria on the other. So he's kind of kept himself in both camps, you know. So it must be a very difficult situation being Anthony Joshua. Very difficult. People say, oh, well, Joshua doesn't speak this way, or Joshua carried himself that way. Is it all Joshua? Or is it Joshua at acting out the decisions of a coward. He himself might not be a coward, but the people running him and the people behind him may well be cowards. And so therefore, he's only reflecting that cowardness because it doesn't make good business. It's not a good business. It's not a good business model. We're making good money out of you at the moment. You're our cash cow. This doesn't make good money at the moment. Let's keep away from this guy, because once you get beat, it's all of us end up having to look for another job because we can't be making the same money. I lost to Joshua, and then pay-per-view numbers start to go down. Mr. Big Muscles, Mr. Hercules gets beat. It's a different situation. Remember the society and the era we're in. We are in the side A, side B society. We are in the unbeaten record society, which means one loss and it's a death sentence. Which means that you come to the table with unbeaten record and titles. That means you're numero uno. You should be the first. You're the side A, and if you've got one belt, then you're side B. This is the whole thing between Joshua and Wilder. Both guys are unbeaten. One guy has more belts than the other, so that makes him a side A. Oh, well, this guy get in this era. It's all about gate receipts as well. All these sort of things divert you, divert your mind. The gate receipts, how much money he's made in gate receipts, or how many guys turn up to see his fight. But like I said, it's an alternative viewpoint. It's not the general viewpoint. But I don't believe that what you've got of Joshua is the real Joshua. I really don't. I don't. I see a corporate man. I see a businessman. I see a company man. I don't see a man on the street. And I think the only people that see that are the people closest to Joshua. And even they know the score. They know, because they're getting a cut of the money. Listen, boss man don't want this happening. Keep your mouth shut and get on with it. I just wonder. I really wonder. Ian McKenzie, it's his own doing. Yeah, well, I think when we're on a journey, we set off on a journey, we may have a path. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And as you're moving up the ladder and as you're moving up into success, you meet people along the way. And you don't realize that further and further as you're moving up the ladder, more and more clamps are being put on you. But the money looks good until you're finally clamped. I'd love to know what those conversations were about when he went off to Dubai. I'd love to know about that. I'd love to know what was going on was it the Millionaire's Mansion they call it? I'd love to know what happens when he goes to Dubai, what he really gets up to, what those meetings are all about. Of course, nobody asks those questions. Nobody's going to ask those questions because they're off limits. And even the questions that are asked, you can, when you talk to Anthony, I can imagine, I've never interviewed Anthony, but I can imagine, okay. Okay, sir, you're next. Yes, I'd like to interview Anthony. Okay, what would you like to talk to Anthony about? Oh, I'd like to ask him about this. Okay, you can't ask him about that. You can't ask him about that. You can't ask him about that. But you can ask him about this. And you got the PR man there just trying to stop you from talking and asking the straight up questions. Okay, Anthony would rather not talk about that. Anthony would rather talk about this. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Joshua came under fire when he made comments in an interview about his niece behaving in a way suitable to a future wife. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you open your mouth and speak about things off the script. That's Joshua being off the script. Anything Joshua gets under fire for, take that as being the real Joshua. Anything he says outside the script, mark it, bag it and tag it, that's the real Joshua. What's good, Ingham? Joshua has class, decorum and respect, not like the foul-mouthed, uneducated fool like Wilder or Fury. No, I would say you disrespect Wilder and Fury, but those two guys, you know where you stand with them. Those two guys, you know exactly what you stand with them. No PR, no spin doctors. Those two guys are straight as an arrow. They're going to tell you they like you, and they're going to tell you they don't like you. They're going to tell you and their two guys are very strong in their culture. Listen, Tyson will tell you he's the Gypsy King. He'll tell you he's a Gypsy King. And Wilder will tell you straight up he's a black man, and he'll tell you he's a black man. He's not running away from that. He's not away. He's not ashamed of his background, nor is Fury ashamed of his background. Okay, so those are two men. You could say what you want about them, about being foul-mouthed and being disrespectful. They ain't on script. And to be honest, if you want to talk about being free movement and talking about being free and talking about human rights and all this stuff, then okay. If you want to believe in human rights, you want to believe in free speech, then allow Fury and Wilder to be a free speech. That's what you get. But you can't one minute say you want free speech, and then afterwards, no, but I want to have a corporate sponsor, because the corporate sponsor means no free speech. You no longer become your own person once you get corporates with you. So, for example, if a corporate sponsor comes to BWTM and says, right, from now on, we want to take BWTM sports to the next level, and we're going to do this, and here's a percentage we'll give you, so you can go out there, you can do all your interviews. We'll give you the money, and we'll get you to go out there, and you can do what you want. You can travel the world, but only on one condition: you stop telling the truth. But you know what? That's a bit difficult. It's a bit of a struggle at the moment. Yeah, I might just do that, because this is where I wanted to be. But that's how it happens. I'm close to my dream. And then we have a choice. I'd say Joshua wants to fight Wilder, but Hearn feeds his hunger to fame with cash, so AJ stays put for now. I think it's a case of what you have on a fighter. If there's dirt you have on a fighter and you have that sort of power and control, listen, if you don't do as we say, we know we've still got those files on you. We've still got those files on you. And what are those files? That's what I'd like to know. And if I could find out what were on those files, then I could tell you whether Joshua is his own man or not. Did the same thing happen to Hatton when he lost? Yep. You remember Hatton, the whole thing exposing him about the coke. Remember that? Or you forgot. Joe Calzaghe, another. Didn't he get caught with the whole coke as well? Calzaghe's another. I don't think AJ is frightened of getting punched, just losing, and therefore this Superman image is gone forever. So it goes along with the Hearn protection. Don't know about that. I'm not so sure. Joshua got beaten the amateurs, didn't he? I don't know. It would be great if he would speak out more, but as you say, he can't because it's shitty corporate stuff. Amen, preaching. Yeah, it is what it is. So what you have is not a real person. You've got, their soul is gone. They've basically sold out. That's what basically has happened. And when you sell out, that's what happens. AJ has proven his bravery in that ring time after time. But if he is given the choice, he would rather fight boxers he thinks he can beat rather than 50-50. Listen, bravery. The bravest man is the man that says no to corporate sponsors and says, you know what? I'm going to do it my own way. I don't need the corporate sponsors. Hell to you all. If Joshua tomorrow said, you know what? Screw the corporate sponsors. Forget you all, right? After these deals are done, I'm done. I'm going to come out and speak my mind. That'd be much braver. That'd be much braver. The man that doesn't sell out as the man I'd say is much braver than the guy that gets in the ring and fights. Honestly, because your ring career is only a short span. Same with your musical career, entertainment career. That's for a short span. But your soul is with you for life. And once that's gone, there's no return. Tyson will tell you he's loyal to Mick Hennessy, then leave him. Wilder will tell you he wants to kill a man in the ring. Okay, well, we don't know what happened with Tyson and that whole Mick Hennessy situation. We just don't know. That'll come out one day, I'm sure. And Wilder will tell you, yep, but Wilder will yeah, exactly. But the thing is, there's been no covering that up. He's gone and done what he had to do, Tyson. He's left for the betterment of his career. He's gone for, he believes, the betterment of his career. He's on BT Sports now. Where would you rather be? Channel 5 or BT Sports? How often did Channel 5 put shows on? Tyson's been on twice now. Or he'll be done twice on BT Sports. And his third fight will be potentially against Deontay Wilder. Hugh Fury's going to fight in Bulgaria against Pulev on Channel 5. And then the next fight will be, hopefully, for the world title. Hopefully. You don't know. But Tyson's got a straight shot. Now, money could have something to do with it, of course. Tyson loves money, and clearly that's what he wants to do. That's his business. Juiced. AJ is just as raw as Wilder Fury, but he hides it well for his image. No, he's not. No, he's not. I don't agree with you there at all, Mark. Not at all. Not at all. Sorry, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that 1 point whatsoever. Because if he was as raw as Joshua, as Wilder and Fury, he wouldn't have those corporate sponsors. So that's rubbish. That don't make no sense whatsoever. He has enough money to retire 10 times, get rid of the corporates and be real, but he can't. He can't, because you don't know what happens if he decides to. He probably did think about pulling away. Remember when I told you that story less than a year ago? I was talking about AJ pulling away from Hearn and go his own way. I think he tried to pull away from Hearn. I really do believe. Remember, he kept saying, if you remember, the interview he did, he goes, "I don't know what Eddie Hearn's doing." You watch his actions. I don't know. Eddie's the promoter. I've got my team. Eddie's the promoter. I've got my team. Eddie's the promoter. I've got my team. You remember he was talking about that stuff with the AJ boxing. Eddie's the promoter. I've got my team, and he was saying that stuff. I'm thinking, this sounds like a guy who's looking to dust. He's looking like a guy who's looking for the door. He's looking to go by himself. He's going to go his own way. We've seen Lewis do it. Hatton do it. Kawasaki did it. Close them all to the end of their careers. They did it more to the end of their careers. Hamed did it. Okay? More, when he was, considered a pay-per-view star, Hamed. So, I think that he can't, I explained earlier why he can't pull away. I think he tried to pull away and then said, and somebody said, all right, so you want to pull away? Remember this? You remember this? We'll have to have a few words with my friends down at the media, and they'll destroy you. So it's probably in your best interest to re-sign with me or else. This is the way it works. This is when you contract with them kind of people, this is what happens. So they hold you almost like a slave. That's what it is, I think. What is his DMs to Chambers? Well, Mark Stanton, I don't know if you're paid or not. So I don't know. You're just a name on YouTube, to be honest. So I don't know what your agenda is, to be honest. So without me not knowing who you are, your perception can be one that keeps everything quite thing. But again, I'm not here to argue. I told you this is not an arguing point. This is my personal alternative viewpoint of it. So you're entitled to your viewpoint. This is my viewpoint. What about his DM to Chambers? What about his DMs to Chambers? What about it? That email, that message was between Chambers and Joshua. It was nobody else's business. It became people's business when Chambers opened it up. But again, it was between two black men. It was between two men. That was it. One man talking to another man. That was it. All these people want to run and and the people that are talking about it, have got the biggest offense to it. I'm not even black, but that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the honest truth. So I don't know. I'm not. That thing with Chambers was Chambers. I don't know why Chambers felt it was upon himself to show it. But then I did deep with Chambers straight afterwards, and I asked him, well, why did you show it? Why did you show it? Oh, it was the coach. Why did you show it? Did you want to fight Joshua? He had no interest in wanting to fight Joshua. So I don't know if that was Chambers' 15 minutes of fame. I don't know what the angle was there. Eugene, didn't Dana White want to sign him to build the UFC boxing wing? And Hearn jumped in basically saying, not on my watch. Well, there you go. That's an investment being stolen. Once Joshua loses, it's like, what are the foundations of Matchroom? What are the building blocks? What are the things that hold Matchroom together? Which fighters can stand up like Joshua at Matchroom? If you look at the stable that I think Eye of the Tiger have got at the moment. If you look at the talent, the fighters that are out the Eye of the Tiger, I think Eye of the Tiger in Canada. They've got a better stable than Hearn at the moment. They've got Alvarez. They've got Stevenson. They've got Bivol. No, that's Bivol. No, Bertabiv. And there's one other guy they've got. So 4 guys they've got, world champions. And they've all got really good resumes. I think through the four light heavyweights, top light heavyweights, are taken by that guy in Canada. And all established fighters. All guys that could have, have got 10, that could easily make 5-10 defenses, easily. How many fighters within the matchroom camp could you say are genuinely world class and will be round to defend their belts for 5 or 6 defenses at world level? How many of them? How many of them at matchroom? For all that are actually genuine matchroom fighters. I'm not talking about guys that have been brought in, that they've actually brought from scratch and built up. How many? So my point is, Anthony Joshua is the rock of matchroom. He is like, say, like, this is matchroom and it's on one rock. Matchroom's built on one rock. Once that rock goes, boom, in terms of boxing, matchroom boxing. Once Joshua gets knocked off, what happens? Where are they? Where are they? So Joshua is their golden boy. Joshua is that's what they're the money's coming off of Joshua. Yes, I know they've got snooker and all the rest of it, but I'm talking boxing specifically. Anthony Joshua is their calf, their golden calf. Povetkin, White, Huey Usyk. That's Joshua's plans for the next 18 months, says the man from Matchroom. Listen, Mark, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if those plans are going to come to fruition, and I'm not here to argue that point. My point is this: the alternative viewpoint of Anthony Joshua, and that's what this conversation is about. The alternative viewpoint is Anthony Joshua the person that we view him to be, or is Anthony Joshua just a corporate individual? And if so, has he committed himself so far in now that he's trapped within his whole body and his soul has left him? And so now the situation is that he can't get out, even if he wanted to get out, because there's too much shit to expose him. That's the question. Now, I hope someone can get in and answer those questions. What does he do when he goes to Dubai? The 50 million deal, was that of his own accord saying that? Because it was obviously off the script. So those things that I'd love to know about. What's script and what's not script? Anything that I said Joshua says that's off script are the things he'll get in trouble for. So I don't know. But what I do know is that you've got a fighter there, a man there, that for the next 3 years is going to have to carrying on. And the more corporate sponsors that get on board with Joshua, the more chains that are on Joshua. That's what I say. So that's my viewpoint. It's very different. It's not the usual viewpoint. It's not what people want to hear, and I'm not here to hear what people want to hear or impress people. I'm here just a viewpoint of what I think. But I don't see Joshua no different than a in terms of a musician. I don't see no difference. I really don't. He's a boxer, they're a musician. Both signed contracts. Both got corporate sponsors. I just don't know. I don't know if what we're seeing is really what it's really about. And whatever they have on Joshua, it must be some major stuff to have stopped him from signing elsewhere. If Joshua didn't like his corporate setup, he would have left Matchroom rather than renewed. You're clearly not listening to me. Yeah, you've clearly not listened to anything I've said in the last 20 minutes. I've explained that situation, Mark. I've explained that to you, Mark. So you, to me, I think that you're either a paid, but you don't listen, you don't want to listen, or you just want to just keep repeating the fake news. Either one of those, I'm not really interested in. Ian McKenzie, thank you so much. I'm out of here. Those are my thoughts. Take care.